German, I'm so happy to have you back. This is your third time on the podcast. We're talking about health and fitness and leveling
Mhm.
up. And before we got started and before I asked you back, I made sure that you were leveling up and that you are going to be able to offer our listeners some inspiration. It's not a requirement. I just really wanted to check you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to hear what the last 3 months have been like for you, because if you're just tuning in now, there are two previous episodes where I'm talking with German. The first one was fantastic. And then we met up 3 months later and we talked again. And I feel there were a lot of excuses happening in that second meeting. What do you think? Am I wrong?
Yeah. I would call them mitigating factors more than excuses.
He's a
It's,
lawyer, folks.
they were mitigating circumstances. We went over it, right? Yeah, there were a lot of mitigating circumstances. This time, I almost want to say it's the opposite, like almost like the planets aligned or something like that. Like we're lighting up a little bit. Haven't had as many hard things going on in life as I had last time, and so I was able to get dialed in this time around, right?
Do you feel that that is purely circumstantial, or do you feel that somehow you attracted that into your life?
Which part?
About how kind of effortless
Mhm.
and easy and less challenges these past 3 months have been compared to the previous.
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, there's things that are outside my control, right? Like what's going on with life and work and, other stuff going on. But I also, kind of decided to take control, right? Of what I can't do. So
What
more
happened?
control, I should say.
What do you mean you decided to take control? Elaborate on that.
I just decided to get dialed in, right? Like I listened to the last podcast. It wasn't a great look, right? For the reasons that you mentioned. And I'm like, you know what? We're gonna do this again in a couple of months. I can't show up again and come up with these mitigating circumstances, as I like to call them, and as to why I didn't do the things that I told myself I was gonna do. And I shared it with you and with, your listeners or viewers. So I'm like, yeah, I can't do that again.
Wow. So if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is you re-listened to our last podcast and you were not impressed
I
by
mean,
what you shared.
I wasn't impressed as we were doing it and kind of going through it at the time. And then I listened to it and I'm like, I wouldn't say I was impressed. I was almost disappointed in myself, right? So,
Yeah, I could
and,
feel that.
yeah,
Was it uncomfortable the last podcast?
it kind of was because, I came back, came in pretty hot the first time and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then, came back the second time around and, okay, well, what's happened? Well, a bunch of stuff, but I really didn't do what I said I was going to do, right?
Yeah. And
So
what have you been doing that's different?
I've been more consistent with my workouts. I got, like I said, life's been a little bit less hectic. That's about to change again, but I think I'm kind of like in a zone right now, so I'll make it work. But yeah, I just started getting more consistent with my workouts. I started doing, we do the kickboxing, well, I try to go every couple of weeks. I added that to my fitness routine. So in addition to CrossFit and hockey and what have you, I started doing additional things that are, we had this conversation last time, right? Like CrossFit it's a way to get, you know, active and fit, but a lot of the times it's isn't fun, right?
Says you.
Well, there's workouts where like it's not fun, right? Where you're like, I want to die right now.
Okay,
You know what I mean? You
yes.
know what I mean?
Yeah, in the moment, it's so painful. You ask yourself, why am I doing this?
Exactly, right? You look at the workout the day before on whatever app the gym uses to see what it's going to be, and sometimes you're like, oh shit. And then you still go do it, but
Yeah.
you know it's not going to be fun. Sometimes it is fun, right? We do a lot of those partner workouts that, you and I do every now and then, and those are fun. We're kind of like pumping each other up, and we're like, come on, one more, and help, that's fun. But, on a regular basis, like, I went this morning and yesterday morning, I wouldn't say that was fun. But when we do these other things like kickboxing or I do hockey or we run the 5Ks and stuff like that, that's fun. Like that's something that you're actually looking forward to. Like this is going to be something fun to do, right? I think it's important to look at it that way when you're trying to do fitness activities, that it's fun.
I totally agree with you, and I'm
Right.
following you. I almost forgot the sensation until you brought it back because I'm not doing traditional CrossFit workouts as much as I get older. I also have discovered that I like to shake things up. Right now I have running goals, and so that's my new pain pleasure, if you will.
Yeah.
I like CrossFit for you and for a lot of people because it gets you fit so that you can go play hockey and you can do kickboxing or you can go on a hike or you could go rock climbing or do whatever you want, and you're not going to be terrible. You're going to be somewhat good just because you have that strong foundation.
Right, and that's how, I think we talked about this last time. That's how I look at it. I'm pragmatic about the gym and CrossFit. Like, I want to go to CrossFit because yeah, I want to be faster when I, do hockey, or more agile when I'm doing kickboxing, run or do my 5Ks a little faster, right?
Yeah.
Or, finish 10 minutes ahead of you in the Murph workout. That kind of thing, that helps.
You got a lot of compliments on this past Sunday in kickboxing class. People were commenting on your kicks and how good they've become. So it's working. Everything's working
Yeah.
and people are noticing, which is really cool. And I think that that kind of feeds into the goals and helping you get there even quicker because you're getting this positive reinforcement in your environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went to the gym this morning or actually yesterday morning, and there's a lady that I kind of did a partner workout with like a week ago. She's like, "Oh man, you're looking like slim and fit." I'm like, "Thanks. That somebody noticed. That's awesome."
I love
Yeah.
that. And I love her for having the courage to tell you that. I
Yeah.
know so many people are thinking it, but then they think twice about sharing. And whenever they do share, I know that it means so much. So I'm really happy that that lady gave you that compliment. And I know
Yeah.
that she meant it. And I feel that too. When I saw you on Sunday, I could see that and I wanted to save it for this moment for the podcast, but you are looking svelte. You are
Thank you.
looking good. And I'm wondering, is it just being consistent with the workouts or is it anything else?
No, no, that's the other part of it that we haven't really talked about. So I think the last time I saw you prior to this past weekend when we did kickboxing, I mentioned, hey, I think I'm gonna start doing keto and fasting, right? And I did. I mean, literally that the next day I started, right? And I got used to it pretty quick. I don't know what it is. I think keto's just kind of fun because you're eating, meat and cheese, and I drink my veggies and all this other stuff. But it's been working, and I don't think I've had much of an issue with like craving stuff or doing anything like that. I started doing the intermittent fasting a couple of days a week. I don't do it every day because that's just sometimes not sustainable when I know I'm gonna have a long day at work or something like that. But I started doing that a couple of days a week, and it's been working. So yeah.
When you say it's been working, when you do it a couple days a week, what does that mean it's been working?
I've been noticing it on the scale, and people are telling me that I look, better.
If you don't mind sharing, what was your last weigh-in?
As of this morning, I was at 241,
Okay. And what were you at previously?
258, which was a lot higher than I thought. So
Wow.
about a month ago, I was at 258.
So
So
wait, are we talking, am I doing the math right? Is that 17 pounds?
yeah, in about a month, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. That
yeah.
is significant. No wonder why people are noticing. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you. I told you I get it done.
Does it feel good?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you notice that you feel better in your body when you're lighter?
In a lot of ways, yeah. I feel better. It's that was one thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, that because I've never not been active, right? I've always done CrossFit and all this other stuff, on a fairly consistent basis, at least 3 to 4 times a week between all of the stuff that I do. So it's kind of hard to feel like you're fat or that you're out of shape when you're doing these things. I'm going to CrossFit and I'm doing the workouts faster than other people. I'm going to hockey and skating around people that are ostensibly smaller or whatever. So it's hard to feel like, oh, well, I'm a fat guy, right? Or I'm out of shape or something like that. But I notice it when I'm trying to put on clothes and things like that. That's when I'm like, yeah, I need to make some changes, right? So in that sense, I do feel better in my body.
Because clothes are fitting differently?
Clothes are fitting differently. Like I said, it's just I think I am feeling a little. with whatever I'm doing with sports or working out. I'm noticing it.
Do you know at what point in your life or in childhood, perhaps, when you started to put on weight more so than others?
Probably, I don't know, maybe like around my early teens, I think.
So, all throughout childhood, you were on the skinnier side or average side, would you say?
Oh no, I was a handsome little kid with like a big bowl of hair and everything. I mean, and then one day the ugly fairy came in, and I don't know what happened, but yeah, I was on the skinnier side,
Do
definitely.
you know what I'm going to say about negative self talk next, or no?
Oh, I
Do I
know,
need
but
to say it?
no, I'm just trying to like, throw some humor into the conversation.
Okay, that was funny. Okay, all right. Well, you can still be handsome and not have hair.
Okay.
And okay, that was funny, I guess.
Oh, I know you can.
So what happened? Was it maybe going through puberty?
Yeah, it's just puberty, not, not kind of knowing much about nutrition. I mean, I grew up in a Mexican household, right? Full of Mexican women that just feed you. I mean, I still have that issue. Even when I've been doing this stuff with like the keto and the fasting, I go see my mom, and the first thing she says is, "What can I give you? What can I cook for you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good. I just came by to say hi real quick." And she's like, "No, you can't leave without eating." And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to if you keep insisting that I eat." But that's kind of how that came about. And then I think the older I got, I just never corrected it until I was what, in like my late 30s, early 40s, probably.
So that was the lifestyle that you knew. You're
Yeah.
blaming your Mexican family, the Mexican women in your life for that.
I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying that's what it was. I mean, if they're feeding me like, beans and rice and tortillas, seven times
There's
a day
nothing
or
wrong with beans and rice and tortillas as long as you're active and as long as, we're paying attention to the portion size.
right, and that's sort of what I was never like educated about, or it's like the whole finish your plate kind of thing. And I wasn't very active as a early teen, whatever you want to, a puberty, going through puberty.
Would you say that your genetics are very similar to that of your moms and dads? Like you all look very similar, body type?
It's kind of weird because on my dad's side, there's a lot of heavy people, right? But my dad isn't heavy, right?
He's not.
No, and on my mom's side, there's a lot of like thin people, but my mom isn't, like super thin either. I don't want to put her on the spot or anything, but yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Okay. Because some people, their genetics plays a huge role in their body type, and some people have to work harder than others, point blank.
I mean, I feel that I have to work harder than other people. I mean, we were talking about this last time, right? Like, you can see people eating random junk and they stay skinny, and yeah, they may be active or they may be, working out dorsal day or something like that, but that's still not healthy for you, and
Right.
you should still be, gaining weight if you're eating, Cheetos and drinking a giant big gulp of Dr. Pepper. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. And meanwhile,
Right.
I'm trying to be healthy, and I'm still struggling with it. So there's got to be something to it, but yeah, it's got to work a little harder. But I've always had to work a little harder for everything. So
Hmm.
it's par for the course.
Wow, that was a big statement. Can you say that one more time?
What? That I always had to work harder for stuff.
You've always had to work harder. What are you referring to?
I mean, I don't want to get into a whole like, what do you call a therapy session, but I mean, in my background, I didn't have a lot of advantages. I wouldn't say that I lacked anything, right, as far as like shelter, food, whatever, but I've always had to, going through college, going through law school, everything that I've done, I always had to, it's taken me longer, maybe a couple of times to do it if I've had to, do something. But I feel that I've always had to work a little harder because I never had anything. I've had a lot of people help me and be supportive, but I wouldn't say that I had, like a college fund or something like that, right? Like I had to work throughout my entire after I graduated high school. I worked the entire time to pay for college and had to take out loans to go to college and law school and stuff like that. So it's not like it's just easier. I never had somebody writing a check or anything like that, right? So I just feel that it's always been something that it's built character. That I don't see it as an excuse. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
so
it's
it sounds like you've never had anything given to you, but you've had a lot of support from family and friends, and you've had help, but
yeah,
nobody ever just gave you anything. You've had to work hard and you've had to earn
yeah,
it.
right, right. Yeah, I'm not saying I
which is
did it all on my
wonderful.
own, right? Yeah, I don't want to make it sound like, I did it all on my own, nobody ever helped me, right? But yeah, it's been a little bit more of a struggle, and I know a lot of people from my same background and situation that are in the same boat, right? So that's just something that kind of, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, just to be all cliched about it. But yeah.
But it's true though.
Yeah.
It does build character and it makes you really appreciate when you do achieve something like becoming a lawyer, obtaining your pilot's license, like winning a hockey championship. It really was. And it doesn't matter what league you're in, you still won. And
Yeah.
losing 17 pounds and being married to the same beautiful wife for God, 20 plus years.
Yeah.
You've achieved a lot of great things and you've earned them. You didn't get any handouts.
No, but I mean, you mentioned my wife. She's been super supportive. We were driving back from after a weekend, kind of like a little mini getaway, and we just both randomly decided like, hey, let's start doing keto. That's how that started about a month ago, and we've been
So
kind
you're
of like,
supporting each other.
yeah, yeah.
And is Angela also doing keto currently?
She's doing like a version of it because she's got different nutritional or things that she's got to eat, but she's staying on top of her nutrition as well and her habits. So yeah, not that she's
I'm
ever
one
really had bad habits, but yeah.
I'm wondering how you know if you're actually doing keto because keto is short for ketosis and your body
Yeah.
is in ketosis. The only way to know that is to measure it and to do testing, which you can do at home. You can do urine
Right.
tests, etc. And I'm wondering, are you doing keto tests to see if you're actually in ketosis?
No, I'm just tracking my what I'm eating. I mean, that's actually pretty easy to do when you're trying to do something like that. Read the labels, kind of make sure that I know what's in something. I mean, it's the little things that make a difference. Like I switched from a creamer that I love, it's the Oh Yeah creamer, right? But it's got like 4 or 6 grams of sugars for like a
Mm.
little like table 2 tablespoons or something like that, and that's a lot of carbs, right? I mean, I didn't I've been a little bit more aware of it in the last few years, but I just kind of didn't think it made that much of a difference, right? But now I'm like looking at it, I'm like, well, if I drink 2 cups of coffee, I'm already like at 12 or something like that carbs, and that's and sugar, right? So I just switched to regular half and half with and use my stevia sweetener, and it's little things like that that make a big difference.
That is such an astute observation because when you're dialing things in and when you're leveling up, you pay attention to those little things. You pay
Right.
attention to the nutrition labels. You pay attention to the grams of sugar in there and you make an easy switch. You don't just eliminate, you have to swap it out. Otherwise, your body and mind, I've noticed, they kind of freak out a little bit and they gravitate and they start eventually they might want to binge. So it's smart to do it the way that you did and you found a healthy alternative so that you still got that creamer in your coffee, but it was a healthier version that's lower in sugar and keeps you on track with this keto diet that you are currently on. And I'm wondering, how long do you plan on being on it? Have you thought about
Well,
it?
that's a part where I'm like, okay, well, right now it feels like I can keep going for a while, right? But at some point, I'm probably gonna want a freaking burger or something, right? Like just
You mean a burger with the bun?
a burger with a bun, or look, I'm Mexican. I need my rice, my beans, and my tortillas. Like I'm gonna need that at some point. I'm gonna need to eat my mom's chilaquiles at some point. But right now, I'm like, I'm not even thinking about it. But I think I just need to get to a point where I feel like, okay, I'm in a good spot to maybe switch things up a little bit and maybe go to like just tracking my macros or something like that, right? Where I'm like, maybe bring some carbs in. But right now, I'm just sort of like I'm just trying to get dialed in, right? I'm trying to get to a certain spot where I feel comfortable enough to switch things up.
I appreciate that. And I'm right there with you. It sounds like what you're doing with keto is you're jump starting and you know that this isn't something you're going to do forever.
Right.
It's going to get you some good results right now. It's going to remind you of staying disciplined. And when you are in your groove long enough and you've seen sustained results, then you'll start to incorporate some of these other foods that you know your body and maybe your mind really want. And hopefully, by the time you get there, you'll be able to practice good portion control and find balance so we're not binging or going the complete opposite end of the spectrum and just going hog wild.
Right. That's sort of my plan. I just need to figure out what that point is going to be, right? I mean, I can say like, well, when I get to like X amount of weight or something like that, but I don't know. I might want to keep going. I may feel like, okay, this is the point where I need to like, you know, treat myself or something like that. But even now, I'm not like craving anything. I'm not like, oh, I gotta go eat a burger or something like that. It's just I'm just kind of going with it.
Yeah, and I think that that's fair.
Mm.
I've done keto before too, and I've done it for 9 months.
Hmm.
And I feel you've been doing it for about 2, 3 months now.
Month, about a month.
About a month. So it's still very fresh. It's still very
Yeah.
new. It's different. It's novel. In some ways, it's kind of exciting because you're losing a lot of weight. You're getting those results. And it sounds like you're losing fat. Without getting a DEXA scan, we don't know for sure. But
Right.
based on your energy levels and how you're feeling, you're probably losing fat because you're continuing to do the strength training. You are continuing to eat, especially protein. And so you're not losing muscle.
I would hope not. And I feel good. I mean, going to the gym, I don't feel like I'm weaker or anything like that. I'm getting through my workouts probably even better than before I started keto. So yeah.
Wow, that's huge. I have a feeling that has something to do with the nutrition, but also being lighter. It just feels different in the body. So you don't have a 17-pound weight vest anymore.
I mean, I used to joke around, right, when we had to do workouts with a vest or like, let's do push-ups or pull-ups with like a. I'm like, hey, it's built in already.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I feel lighter and yeah, it's just like a different type of energy, I guess. And it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy or like a cycle, right? The lighter you get, the better you get at working out. I mean, I went through that before, you remember, a couple of
Mm-hmm.
years ago.
Yeah.
But that's sort of like where I'm at right now. Like I'm in that sweet spot where I'm like, okay, just gonna keep going.
You know, when we were touching base before we decided to do this third podcast, you said you were the best you ever were in Vegas. What did you mean by that?
So I had to go to Vegas for a training last week for work, right? Usually when I'm in Vegas, I start drinking my beer at the airport and then dinner. Oh, at these conferences, there's coffee, there's treats, there's croissants, and then they bring out lunch and there's all sorts of like rolls and rice and all this other stuff. And then after the conference, go grab dinner, drink a few more beers, that kind of thing. I mean, it's Vegas, right? But this time I just wasn't feeling that. I was just kind of like, okay, I get up in the morning, drink my coffee from the hotel Starbucks downstairs. I'm fasting, so I go to the training and then wait till lunch and they bring out like their buffet, whatever, and just kind of pick through like the protein and whatever else they had. And then in the evening, I go and grab like a steak or ahi. That's like my thing right now. Like, well, I've always liked it, but that's kind of like the thing that I crave the most
Ahi?
on a random like night where I'm like, what should I eat? I'm like, man, some like ahi sounds good, some poke or something like that. Like that's kind of like
That
my
is
thing.
amazing. That
Yeah,
it's rich in omega 3s and it's got the so it's got the healthy fats and it's got a nice amount of protein and it's lean.
yeah. And I've never been much of a seafood person, but I've been getting more into it, like with fish. I still
Seafood
don't
is
like
great.
I don't like shrimp or stuff like that or people go to those crab boils or whatever, and I'm like, I can't eat anything that still looks like whatever it was when it was alive. That's always my thing.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Right.
Yeah. But fish in general is lighter as long as you are, I think, balancing it out with chicken, turkey, because you don't want to increase the amount of mercury in your body either.
Sort of the thing that holds me back from eating more fish, but yeah.
But it sounded like you weren't eating that much fish before. And so this is good. This is a good
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
fish is lean anyways. So if you're on keto, there's not a lot of vegetables and fruit in that diet.
There isn't. I like to drink my veggies though. I mean,
Oh, are you having AG1 or are you having greens or something?
I have the super greens, the ones that you buy at Whole Foods, Sprouts,
Yeah.
whatever, the powder, and then I do get actual super greens, like the pack, and then I'll make you some sugar-free mango juice or sugar-free pineapple juice, make myself a little smoothie. It's pretty delicious actually.
Oh, really? That's nice.
Yeah, yeah. I might
Okay,
throw
so
in a strawberry or two for flavor, but
yeah.
it's really good.
So you're getting some cleansing there, some vitamins, some minerals. Okay, that's good. Have you noticed that these changes have impacted your stress or sleep at all?
I can't say that the changes have. I mean, I'm trying to get more. I'm trying to sleep more. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's about the same.
And we have to talk about it because we've talked about it on all of our other podcasts. Talk to me about alcohol. Have you been drinking the same amount? Have you been drinking more, less?
Probably a little less, but
Hmm.
I'm still doing my thing when I gotta go out and have fun. But I'm a little bit more conscious of it. I mean, I'm drinking White Claws now. Like that's a thing that I
I don't
never
even know
did
what
before.
that was. I know that they were there at my birthday party, but I didn't even look at it. What is it?
They're seltzers, but they're basically low calorie. I think they have like 1 gram of carbs or something like that. So they're yeah,
And they have a hard alcohol in there?
it's a seltzer. So I don't even I'm not sure what
Maybe vodka or something.
something like that. Yeah, those generally tend to be like vodka based or something like that.
I noticed at my birthday party, you were really pushing me to drink alcohol.
I wasn't pushing you. You're the one that mentioned there's a bottle in the fridge, and I didn't have to twist your arm very much before it came out. So,
Listen,
because I wasn't even drinking myself.
we're recalling this very differently
Well,
because I
I
remember you were the designated driver that night, and
yes,
so you had to limit yourself, which is responsible, and I totally respect that. However, I did mention that there was a bottle of vodka just sitting in the freezer for God, almost 3 years that had not been touched. As soon as I mentioned that, you became the alcohol pusher that night.
the alcohol pusher.
You were. And I was like, wow, if he can't drink, he really wants others to drink.
I just say, hey, it's your birthday. Like, live a little, cat. Come on.
So
I
let's
mean,
talk about that. Let's
I don't
talk
want to.
about that
Okay, okay.
because living a little to me
Yeah.
does not mean I need to drink alcohol. I am fun without alcohol. Are you saying otherwise?
No, I'm just saying, like, let loose for a minute, right?
I
Like,
do let loose.
okay.
Letting loose does not equating to I need to be inebriated or I need to be tipsy or anything like that. I want to talk about this because, alcohol means a lot of different things for people.
Mhm.
There are people
Yeah.
who are in AA. There are people where alcohol is definitely a part of their daily life.
Right.
There are social drinkers. My background in alcohol, I've drank so much in my 20s, all throughout my early 30s, probably in excess.
Okay.
And I'm not the kind of person who just has a drink and enjoys. I always feel like if I have a little and this is fun, more must be more fun.
Okay.
And then you get to this point where, wow, I've taken in too much and now things are messed up.
Okay. I mean, that's how that happens, right? You know,
Yeah.
where we were talking about this when the last podcast, and you're like, well, you drink like 2 or 3 beers. I'm like, you know what? After three, sometimes I don't even know. But that's kind of what I mentioned, right? At some point, you're just like, okay, another one, because it's fun, whatever. So that does happen.
And it did happen. It did
Mhm.
happen because, well, number one, I don't drink alcohol anymore for a lot of different reasons besides my last birthday. And it's not that I'm like saying no to alcohol ever, but my skin doesn't like it. I feel like shit the next day. It's a poison. It's not good for you. I do like to live a little, but my living a little is like spending time with my friends and putting on some music and dancing and maybe doing some play fighting and wrestling and arm wrestling. Does alcohol make it different? Yeah, a little bit, but I don't need it.
Well, that's the thing. You don't need it, but if it makes it a little different, a little more fun. I mean, I'm not gonna get into like, how many shots you had or whatever, because I actually don't know. Um, if I was like, hey, Kat, go for it. It's your birthday. At some point, hey, you're a grown ass person. Like, you do what you're gonna do, right? It's
I
not like
know,
I
but
was. It's
here's
not
the
like I was
moral
holding
of this
you.
story.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I needed to hear. That was the catalyst here or the flame that just got lit. Yeah, I am a grown person and it was my birthday, so I should be able to say, "You know what? I'm good. Thank you very much." But there was a lot of pressure. Peer pressure is real. Even if you're 45 years old, peer pressure is so real. And everybody who says so, I agree with you. I get it. Should we be stronger? Yes. We should also surround ourselves with people who are not putting that kind of pressure on us.
Well, I don't think anybody was putting pressure on you though.
I didn't say anybody, I said you.
Okay. Me? I
Yeah,
wasn't putting
you.
pressure on you.
You were the alcohol pusher that night. You were like, hey, just how about another one? How about another
I
one?
I actually didn't say another one.
What did you say?
I don't
What did you
even
say?
remember, but I might have been like, "Hey, bust the bottle out, we have some fun." But after the first one, that's on you. Like,
Oh my gosh.
it's
All
not like I
right.
was like holding your head open, pouring the bottle and down your throat or something like that.
The moral of this story is I have no regrets. I don't take anything back. I'm busting your balls a little bit. I
So am
do
I.
like to live a little. I am a guinea pig. So I have the history of going with something and like being really, really strict and really, really disciplined. So it's kind of fun every now and then to shake things up and just see what happens. And I'm good. Like, I don't need to have alcohol. I'm good on that. But the moral of this story is peer pressure is real. And
That
who
is
we surround ourselves with matters. It's not going to be very often that you and I are going to be in situations where alcohol is a thing. You've described me one time as like your fitnessy friend. So we're always
yeah.
doing fitnessy things together. We're doing kickboxing, we're doing CrossFit. Maybe we're going on a hike or a run and we're talking about like leveling up in our lives. But I think this was extenuating circumstances, if you will.
It wasn't the usual situation that
It
we're
wasn't
in,
the
right?
usual situation. That's better.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Not the usual type of scene that we're into when we hang out.
What were some other things that you wanted to share um, over the that have happened or you've discovered in the past 3 months?
That I can be my own accountability buddy or whatever. I mean, you were sort of like pushing me into the background a little bit because you would check in on me every now and then, but like even when I reached out to you, I'm like, hey, are we doing the podcast in a couple of weeks? And you're like, well, I want to make sure that there's been some changes, right? And I'm like,
I said it in that tone, right?
something like that. Well, that's we texted, so that's a little hard to read, but that kind of thing. And also my a T-shirt that was my accountability buddy.
Remind me of what the t-shirt said.
No, it's not. It's not what the T-shirt said. It's the fact. So my good friends went on a trip to Japan a couple of months ago, and they brought me back this really cool T-shirt from a guitar store in Japan, right? And it's extra large. It's black. It's got like cool graphics and stuff. I actually should have worn it today, but I'm like, hey, that's a pretty badass T-shirt, right? And it's extra large, so what's. And I put it on, and I'm like, it's a little snug. I need to fit better into this.
It's extra large from Japan, which means it's a size small.
Well, either way, right? So I'm like, I need to fit a little better into it. And
Oh, I
so,
love this. I love that. That was your motivation.
well, that's sort of like my measure, other than the scale, that's how I measure my success or whether I'm doing good or not. If
Yeah,
that
but
makes
you
sense.
wanted to fit in that cool t-shirt comfortably.
Right, right. It fit, but I'm like, yeah, it could fit better, right?
It could fit better. I love
Right.
that. That's really good. And before that, you said a very important statement, and that is you can be your own accountability partner.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Well, I mean, that's sort of like how that came about in a way, right? Like with the T-shirt. The
Yeah.
T-shirt's sort of like my proxy for myself or whatever you want to call it.
I also did notice that when you were reaching out to me a few weeks before this meeting, you were checking in about the podcast, and I was honest with you the way that I always am and
Mhm.
asking if any real changes had been made because we're here to inspire. We're here to, let people know about our failures, our successes, everything in between. But ultimately, we're here to level up. And you were on me to make sure that I knew you're here for it. You're doing the work without giving me the details because I said, save it for the podcast. So you don't need anybody else to hold you accountable.
I mean, it helps, but it's not necessarily a must, right?
That's a powerful statement. And a
Yeah.
lot of people cannot do it without some sort of accountability partner. So good for you. Do you think you'll be able to maintain that mentality?
Yeah, I mean, and accountability is not necessarily like, or having accountability partners or whatever. It's not necessarily somebody that that's pushing you or whatever, right? It could be like my wife, where I'm like, hey, I lost another 2 pounds, and she's like, yay. Or, when this lady at the gym, she's like, hey, you're looking slim, that kind of thing. That's accountability, right? That's one of the things about when I was like super, fit a couple of years ago, and then I kind of went backwards. I'm like, I feel like I'm letting a lot of people down, right? Not that I'm doing it for other people, but a lot of people that were supportive, that you were helping me out a lot back then. Even now, and you were taking the time to show me like how to do better movements and stuff like that. And I'm like, if I'm going backwards, I'm sort of throwing all of that away, right? So that was
I
one of
love
those things.
that.
that's one of those things, like people at the gym cheering me on, when we used to go to that the other gym in Woodland Hills, right? People were cheering me on and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't want to let people down in a way, even though I'm doing it for myself, but that's also like a motivation.
I totally understand that, and that's real talk. You are doing your German is doing it for German ultimately. However, you've made it clear that a lot of people have helped and support you. And you don't want to let them down because
Yeah.
they put a lot of energy into helping you. And when you go backwards, as you said, then it's like you're letting people down. I get that. I get that. I've helped a lot of people, including you. And when I see them go backwards, if you say, or they start to put more weight back on, sometimes it's a little hard to see, but at the same time, I'm understanding that everybody has a different life. They've got different things going on, and I get that. But I will say, when I see them pick themselves back up and start to move forward and start to make real changes to get back to where they were or go beyond, it feels so good. It not only feels good for you for doing it, but it feels good for me because I get to see it and I get to be proud of you.
Yeah, and that's a big motivation, right? Like,
Yeah,
everybody
it's
that's been helping me out.
huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And it's nice to be noticed for our hard work. It feels really good. So a lot of changes have been made in the last 3 months. Is there anything else that you changed, or what do you think was the biggest thing? Do you think it was rewatching our podcast from the second time and just getting a serious reality check? What do you think it was?
I think that was part of it, but I think it was just like, okay, I need to I don't like to fail, right? That's like I was saying earlier, it might take me longer than other people to get something done. It might take me a couple of tries to get something done, but I don't like to fail. I like to get it done at some point or another, right? And when I'm like, we're about to do this for the third time, and or maybe not do it at all because I didn't do shit, right? I'm like, I can't. That's just not good for me. Like that's not my character. That's not how I operate.
Yeah. You sound like the guy who understands that hard work is needed for anything worth having, whether it's your pilot's license or passing the bar or anything, achieving a number on the scale. And you know that you got to work for it and it's not going to come easy and you might have to do it a few times, but ultimately you're not giving up. Somebody told me that a black belt is just a white belt who never gave up. And I love that. And it's making me think of you. It's making me think, you might not get to your goal on the first or second try, but damn it, you're not giving up until you get that goal at some point.
Right? Then Mr. Miyagi said that the bill doesn't matter, but you still you still look at it holistically, right? Like everything you're
Yes.
trying to do, like the end result,
Yes.
right?
And for you, it sounds like failure is not an option.
That's that's sort of like my mantra in a way.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
I'm hearing. Failure is not an option. And the way that we look at failure is huge. Failing is just an opportunity to do better next time or an opportunity to get closer to succeeding. I think
Yeah.
failure is so necessary in growth.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I said, it builds character, right? You got to pick yourself up and start over again, and whatever it is that you failed at.
So talk so talk to the people who are listening now
Mhm.
who feel like they've tried lots of different things, they've failed numbers and numbers of times and they're in a rut and they need help getting out. What advice would you give them for starting to do it again, or what would you say to them?
Okay, do you want me to take the David Goggins like you can do it?
Well, if
Don't
you
give up.
believe in David Goggins, I like him, but he's a very unique personality and he's appropriate for certain times. I want you to take the German
Yeah,
approach.
I don't like that type of approach at all.
Oh, you don't like David Goggins.
No, no, because it's you can only have somebody yell at you or telling you to do something so many times, or you can do it, whatever. Because everybody's situation is different, right?
Yes.
Like the get up and run at 4 a.m. Well, what if you fucking got to go to work at 4 a.m. to begin with? Like, what are you gonna do, right? Like, there's
So
no
I can,
excuse. No
yes.
excuse, no excuse to not go for a run at 4 in the morning. Maybe you work 16 hours the day before. I don't know, right? Everybody's got their own thing. So what I would say is find what works for you, but don't give up, right? And also educate yourself or try to educate yourself, right? Try to talk to people that know about nutrition, that know about fitness. Don't just try to, the whole, I did my own research crap that's been going around for the last 6 or 7 years, right? My own independent research. I mean, there's something to that, but I mean, and actually, unfortunately, other people do this, but if you're not feeling well, if you're feeling sick, you want to go to a doctor. You don't want to go on YouTube and just Google it. I mean, some people do that, but I mean, it's just like for this kind of thing, you gotta at least talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about,
You got to
or
talk to those experts.
yeah, you gotta talk to experts. You gotta get their advice. And for me, it's been talking to people at the gym, talking to you. I mean, I hit you up like, hey, what kind of MCT oil do you take? What, creatine, that kind of thing. What does it do? Is it even any good? Everybody's on it, but is it something that I even want to try? That kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
People at the gym, like, hey, I see you do this. Can you give me some advice or something? Because I know whatever they're doing is working, right? So I kind of randomly talk to people like that.
That's so smart. That's so brilliant. It's simple in a way. As long as you put yourselves in that type of environment where you have those kind of resources available. Because you go to the gym, you know that you're going to be surrounded by other people who are either fitness enthusiasts or athletes and people who are interested in health and nutrition. So what you're saying is utilize them, talk
Yeah.
to them. If you have questions, talk to the people where you clearly see things are working for them and pick their brains, because you can't rely on just doing your own independent research. Yes, there's value in that,
Yeah.
and you can get a lot of knowledge that way. But you also want to talk to real life people who are experts, who are professionals, who know their stuff. The same way I would talk to you, German, if I had questions about the law, if I had questions about obtaining my pilot's license, about
Which
hockey.
you should, by the way.
Which one?
Pilot's license is life changing. It's the most awesome thing you can possibly do.
Maybe.
All
I
right.
get airsick though.
No, I'm afraid of heights, but there's that. Anyways,
Wow. Anyways, so yes, I totally agree with you on that. The first thing you said is find what works for you. What do you mean by that? Like for you, German, what worked for you, and what do you mean find what works for you?
the first thing is that you got to have some sort of foundation, right? And for me, I already had a good foundation as to, I was already going to the gym. I'm already doing sports. I'm already doing this other stuff. If you're just starting out, you got to start somewhere, right? Start by walking around the block, and then maybe, it's little steps like that, right? And
Yeah.
and 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 if you've been doing something for years and it hasn't been working, maybe try something else, right? I was talking to somebody at the gym this morning, and this person's like, "Oh, this is like my 12th day in a row," and I'm like, "That's cool. I mean, but maybe you want to take a break, or you want to maybe try something else. Try running, try kickboxing. I don't know, something like that, right?
Yeah, shake
Um,
things up a little
Shake things
bit.
up a little bit because you're gonna get burnt out. You get frustrated because maybe you do the same thing over and over again. That stops working at some point too, right? Your body gets used to it, so you gotta kind of shock it through change every now and then,
That's
right?
totally that's a great point. That's a great point. A lot of people out there, they struggle with consistency. So the way that they achieve that is they think, well, I have to do a little something every day. I got to work out every day. And that's fine as long as some of those days are just walking or stretching or doing, as you said, something different like kickboxing or hiking or hockey or whatever it is, but just not getting yourself burnt out and not overusing certain muscle groups so that we're more prone to injury. I'm wondering, what are some things you want to stay away from, or what are some things you've learned in this process over the last 9 months now that you don't want to do?
Yeah, just be more mindful of what it is that I'm putting into my body, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, or keep being mindful about it. That's the one change that I made that's made a big difference.
How do you do that?
Like I said, just keep track of what it is that I'm eating. I think the last time we talked about how for work I'm on the road a lot, right? And so find options like, hey, this is something I can eat. Like in a pinch, you can go to In and Out and order a protein style burger without like the spread or whatever, right? Like, and that's pretty substantial, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Small changes don't mean you have to stop eating in and out immediately and
Right.
start eating salads only. It means let's make a small change. And instead of ordering, the double double with a bun, let's maybe get it in a lettuce wrap. And maybe you say no, no, thank you to the spread that they put on there.
Right. and maybe make it a triple because I'm a big boy. I need my nutrition. So, but yeah, it's been working. So, and
Fair.
things like that, right? I mean, just making it. I mean, I walk into a 7-Eleven 2 to 3 times a day because I'm driving, I'm commuting, whatever. I gotta get gas. I gotta use the restroom. I gotta drink something, right? And it's pretty easy to like look at the pizza on the racks or whatever. But I'm kind of like in that mindset where like I don't even look at it at this point.
Are you not buying any food or snacks there altogether, or are you just buying healthier options that 7-Eleven offers?
Well, to the extent that you can get healthy options at 7-Eleven, I mean, I'll get like what do you call it? The cheese with like the pepperoni wrapped around it, that kind of thing. I mean, it's not the greatest thing, but it's
I
better
don't
than
even know what that is. Is it just like the hot food section?
no, no, it's like in the fridge. They got the little like it's like string cheese, like a little stick with like pepperoni wrapped around it or something like that.
Okay, a cheese stick. Oh, so that's totally keto. That works for you.
Right, right. I like pork rinds. Those things are awesome.
Pork rinds. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very Filipino too. I
yeah.
think also like chicharron that's Mexican, right?
It's Mexican pork rinds, yeah.
There you go. You know what I get at 7-Eleven when I'm in a pinch and I haven't packed my own snacks, because I definitely do that, is I go to the refrigerated section and I buy a muscle milk. Now, is it the healthiest thing on the planet? Absolutely not. But when you're in those kinds of situations where you don't have a lot of options, you're trying to find the healthiest option available. Muscle milk gives me a certain, level of protein. It doesn't taste terrible. It's palatable. If there's a banana in the gas station, I'll buy a banana. I will buy mixed nuts. But most of the time, I have these like very small Tupperwares that go everywhere with me. And I have one dedicated to cashews, one to almonds, and one to raisins. And then I pack a couple of RX bars. Have you started packing snacks? I know you're not doing the eggs thing anymore.
No, because it's not too difficult to just find my own snacks. And most of the time I don't have time, or I know that they're going to be sitting in the car all day anyways.
Mm,
So I try to do the same thing. Buy a little thing of nuts at 7-Eleven. Buy whatever, right?
maybe
Just
some beef jerky.
beef jerky. I used to do the muscle milk and what's the other one? The Fairlife, whatever, which is
Yeah.
actually much better.
Oh,
But
okay.
I started I mean, it tastes better to me because it's milk. I mean, like milk based. But then I read the labels and I'm like, I can't do that right now. So.
Yeah, I know. I
There's like
know.
quite a bit of sugars and carbs and stuff like that. So I guess if it's like the only thing I'm gonna eat for like a few hours, I'll probably do one, but I rather avoid it if I can.
Yeah. And in those cases, you want to do your best to pack stuff with you, especially if you're on a special diet like keto.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, I haven't had any trouble like finding something wherever I am. So that's kind of the thing that makes keto easier than some other type of plan.
Yeah, I totally get that, because it is easier to find meat and cheese and fats and stuff like that. I will say this on keto, just because I've done it myself, you want to make sure you're taking in extra water, because a lot of those foods you're consuming are very salty. And so
Yeah,
you
a
want
lot
to
of
balance
sodium.
that out. There's so much sodium, so you want to balance that out and flush that out with water, so that you're not retaining so much more water, and so you don't get discouraged when you look on the scale and you've gained 4 or 5 pounds, but not realizing that a lot of that is water based. You're holding on to water, you're swollen because of the amount of sodium you've consumed. Also
Yeah.
with keto is, because you're eating more meat and cheese and things like this, it doesn't necessarily mean that your arteries like it. So you should be adamant about getting that blood work done, maybe more than once a year. If you're starting a keto diet, I would say it's ideal to get blood work done before, and then maybe 3 or 4 months or whatever your doctor prescribes, just to make sure we're keeping our cholesterol levels in check. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's something that I actually thought about that I should have done, and I should probably get that done now too.
Okay. Well, now you have every opportunity. Any last words you want to share with the folks who are listening? Because there are people who are listening to your story, they're seeing the progress, they see you, go backwards, go forward, they're inspired. What else do you want to share with them?
Yeah, don't give up, stick with it. Find what works for you, but make sure there's a good basis for it.
And the good basis is like why they're doing it.
Why they're doing it and what it is that they're doing, right? Make sure that they're not just picking something, at random from like Google or TikTok or something like that.
Yes,
right?
get yourself educated, ask for help from the experts, and think about why are you doing this?
Yeah. And look, I'm no expert myself, which is why you know, I kind of have to reach out and try to figure out what the experts, what people that know are doing.
That's how you become an expert, is you just keep going and it's trial and error.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
stay
learn
committed.
stay committed. Yeah.
All right, German, thank you so much for coming back on, making all these improvements. I see you. Congratulations on losing 17 pounds of fat, because that's huge.
It is.
That
I
is
mean,
huge.
and I wish I'd gotten started earlier, but yeah,
Yeah, but you did it, and you're just only going to move forward.
that's the plan.
All right, till next time.
Till next time.